Now what I want to do for this video is show you how to draw this object that we've done in class on paper in Google SketchUp and make it a three-dimensional object. So we've drawn a front view, a side view along this here, and a top view, and we're going to make it in 3 dimensions. So what I want you to do is open up SketchUp. Now if you're not sure of some of the tools, the ones we've used here, I suggest you watch the first video I've made or look at YouTube or Google and find out how to use some of these tools. So the very first thing I'm going to do is select my arrow tool. I'm just going to move this person out of the way. Now what I want to do is start drawing the bottom of this object. So if I was to look at the bottom of this object, it's going to be 5 cubes along by 5 cubes. Now I'm going to assume that each of these little squares is going to be 10 millimeters. So what I'm going to do is go into my Google SketchUp. I'm going to get my pencil and I'm going to draw along here, and I'm going to draw along at 50 millimeters because that was how long. Now you notice it's just give me like a little dot circle there. Now the reason for that is that this program is designed for drawing buildings, architecture, which are really quite large. So I'm collecting the zoom window button and highlighting it, and it comes down. You can see it's a little bit hard to see, but there's a line along here, and remember it shows me a midpoint, other point. So there's my front surface. Now I'm going to go up the other along the side view. Now remember, doing this as a three-dimensional object, so I'm going to make this one 50, gives me another line. I'm going across. Now remember, if I'm going parallel to an axis, it will give me the color. So parallel to the red axis gives me red, parallel to the blue axis, which in this case is vertical, gives me blue and green. So I want to come across another 50 and 50. Now I know it's going to give me a square because all these edges here are parallel. So notice here it gives me a square. Now if I go back to this object, I basically have done this side view, and the back two pieces. Now I'm going to start drawing this in. So I'm going to draw this piece in here, and you'll notice it goes up 3 squares. So if I come back to SketchUp, again still with my pencil, sorry, I want to make sure that this time it's going vertical, and this time we said it's 3 squares, which is actually 30. I know from the drawing it comes back this way 1, so I'm going to come back 1. So I'm going to come back, in this case, 10 millimeters. If I come back up, it's going to come up 30. It's going to come 20, 2 squares. So I'm going to come up 2 squares, which is 20. And then I'm going to come across here, which is 1, 2, 3 squares, 30. So again, I want to be parallel to this red axis, because I know the bottom line down here runs along the red axis, so I want another one along the red axis at 30. If I come back to the drawing, this one comes down 3, across 1 and down 2, so I'm going to do a couple of moves at once. So I'm going to come down, make sure it's along parallel to the blue axis, 3, across 1, which is 10 millimeters, and then down. Now you notice it fills in, so that's quite nice. So it's actually, when you look at it, I've actually drawn this shape here in, so it's giving me this pattern here. Now what I'm going to do is start looking at drawing this front view here in this shape that looks a bit like a J. Now this is a bit hard to see. Now remember I said there's this orbit tool, so I'm going to orbit this around a little bit just to make it a little bit easier to see. So I want to do this J. So I'm actually going to start from this back corner here and do this big tall piece in here. So looking at the drawing, it's 5 squares high, which we said was 50 millimeters. It comes across 1, but it's coming across 1 parallel to the green, on the green axis, so I've got to be careful here. So it comes down 10. Now I know it goes down 4 squares. Now again, I'm making sure it's on the blue axis. I want to go straight down. 4. If I double check, it comes across 3, up 2 and across 1. So I can come across 3. Again, I want to be on the green axis. again, I'm typing in these values, 2 across 1, and there I have my J shape. So when I look at that shape there, I can see it in there as well. Now I want to finish off by, because it's 3 dimensions, to make it a little bit easier, I want to do some of these shapes in here. So I'm going to do this little square here and this little square here. Now I've got to remember that this little square is actually coming back to the left, and this rectangle is actually coming straight up. This face here is parallel to this face here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in, 2 fingers zoom in. I know that this is a little square, it's 10 by 10. Notice it fills in. I can come up here, and that one was 20 and across. So now I can see that I have this face here, and that little bit fitting in there as well. So it gives me this sort of shape here. I might start doing this J shape, and then maybe we can fill in some of the gaps, some of the lines that are missing. So if I come back to here, and again it's a bit hard to see, so I'm just going to pan it down a little bit using the orbit tool. Now I want to do this bit of a strange looking J shape. It's a bit fat at the back there. So I'm going to start at this back corner. I need to come up 3, across 1, and then up 2 to give me that pattern there. So from here I'm going to go up 30, across 1. Now again it's parallel to the red axis because it's going straight back. Across 1, up 20. Now again I need to make sure I'm on the green axis, and across there. Now it didn't fill in because there's a big gap there, so it won't fill at the moment. So I need to do that other bit of the J. So I'm starting now at this corner, across 2, along 3, and back 1. So there I'm going across 20, back towards the front view, 30, and then back on top. Now you notice it fills in nicely, so that gives me the J. But you'll notice that I'm missing some things. I can see right through it, and I'm also missing these couple of squares in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this line down here. I'm going to start at this point, come down 4, and across 2. So I said I was starting at this point, now I'm coming straight down. I'm making sure I'm on the blue axis. Not to get confused and make sure I'm coming off at a different angle, I want to make sure I'm on the blue axis. I said it went down 40 and comes across. And notice it fills in nicely for me. So I want to come back in here. Now this one's really hard to see. If I was to draw a line in here, it would go back and it would hit this point here and then come forward. So in fact I want here a rectangle that's going to be 2 squares across and 3 squares along there. So what I'm going to do is, I know this comes 3. Now I'm doing it to the green axis, making sure that I've got the right value, clicking, and notice it fills in. I still don't have this line in behind, so I'm just going to pan around a little bit, get my pencil tool, click, and fill that in. So now I have my side view, I have most of my front view, but there's bits missing here. So there's a couple of lines missing here. I'm going to fill those in. Now, looking at your drawing, I'm assuming that these lines will all meet. So that line along there was 30 centimeters, 30 millimeters. So I'm putting in 30 and 30. There's my rectangle. I had this one here was 10. Came out 1 square, so I'm coming out 10, joining that. There's my next face. Missing a gap here. It's a bit like joining dot to dots now, just joining in some of these squares just to fill them all in. And if I have a look now at the back, it's all filled in, and there's my object. So that's, when I look at this now, that's pretty close. I have my J at the top, funny looking J. Have another J in there, a cutout, and a hole in the back. So I have my J here, J on top. And if you want to double check, what you can do is you can go to your views So if you go to camera, standard view, and I can go to top, I can go to this and it'll give me a little bit that looks a bit like my object, not perfect, but if I go again to camera and to parallel projection, it gives me, there's my top view. I can then do my front view. So that would have been what you had as one of your views, and then side view. Sorry. There's the back side, and there's that other right side, so that gives you what the object looks like. So that's how we can draw the tool in lines, and that's what the object will look like.